Good afternoon, Your Excellency. I'm honored to stand before you today. Good afternoon.
Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Dose of Iron. Today we have a very special guest on the show. His name is Biodun Jinodu. Mr. Biodun is an HR professional, he's a public speaker, a writer, and an incurable believer in the greatness of Nigeria and Africa at large.
Interesting.
Now, on May 1st, 2018, he gave a speech at a national event, The Platform. The title of the speech was, "Don't Just Survive, Thrive." That was, a very deep speech. I still watched the speech yesterday.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Really?
I did. So tell us, what informed that decision? Why did you choose to, speak about that topic?
Wow. Interesting. Thank you very much, first of all, for having me on this show.
Thank you for coming.
Okay, so it's been like 3 years after. Wow. Well, to the question. So, what inspired that speech? I think it's just a culmination of my own personal story, interwoven in the larger Nigerian story, and my own personal values, right? I remember thinking through it for quite a while, and I remember, going to the office at that time, the staff was commuting every day, thinking deeply and saying to myself, what am I going to speak about? What am I going to speak about? Even as I, traveled on third mainland and I saw cars passing by and people, selling stuff on the side, asking myself, what am I going to think about? So I think it's just reflection on my own personal experience, and like I said again, my own values and beliefs too, but mostly my own personal experience. And I know 2 or 3 or 4 people that have gone through something similar, and I thought that I could say something that could go beyond me, but I could reflect the realities of at least some Nigerians like myself. So I just said, maybe this is original, this is real to me, this is easy for me to talk about. I think it's better to do things that are easy, and I just thought to do that.
Yeah. Wow. One of the things you talked about was embracing
adversity.
Okay. But then, looking at Nigeria presently, there is a climbing food inflation, high rate of unemployment. What can you say to a Nigerian who is facing so much adversity?
Oh my God, this is a difficult question. Because I don't want to tell anybody to embrace that one. Okay, let me attempt this question. So, the context within which I was saying that I embrace adversity was, in terms of the usual roadblocks that every young person or every human being encounters in an attempt to do something meaningful. So that you embrace that adversity, because it pushes you forward. Don't just stop because something is difficult. But to look at it in terms of the Nigerian experience and the adversity that we are currently experiencing, all of us, it's a difficult thing to say, but I would say that I don't want to say that I don't want to de-escalate what is currently happening in this country, because it's actually huge. It's a serious thing that's happening in this country, and it affects everyone. You spoke about inflation rates, food prices and all of that.
It's ridiculous.
So, but I would just say that we can only. I actually don't have anything fantastic to say, to be honest. But let's just keep pushing. Let's just keep trying to survive at least. So the least that we can do is to keep our heads above water. So in this climb, and we can always still believe that things will get better and all. Some people think that in the next 8 years, 12 years, whatever time it is, but it is the responsibility of every Nigerian to at least keep their heads above water. And by that I mean that whatever you can do to just give yourself the basic things of life, which is at least food, clothing, shelter, also education for your kids or for yourself, all of those things. The least that we can do is at least keep our heads above water in this current situation. And I'm saying this because so that we don't get swallowed up in this current situation. So whatever it is, the tides are rising, all right? But we must try to just keep our heads above water. We do not know whether the tides will come down tomorrow or next tomorrow, but we just have to keeping our heads above water as the tides are rising. So I would just say that let's just keep pushing, excuse me, let's just keep continuing to just keep our heads above water, and by that, at least survive.
So many people are moving out of Nigeria now to looking for greener pasture and all of that. Are you a believer of that?
Okay. Okay, so I never used to be a believer, to be honest. I used to believe that everyone should stay here, change Nigeria, and build this country. Other countries built their own countries. Let us stay and build this country too. To an extent, I still do, but I do not. I can understand why people want to leave this country. I had a conversation with an older friend, and he told me that, see, I just want to get my family out of here so they can get at least a good education, So, and it's not so much to ask, right? So people that are leaving are trying to just get a better life, at least. And I think that is something good to want to strive for. So if that is what you think is your best decision, please, by all means, do that. So you can have that better life for yourself and your words. But I think again and wonder to myself that, this country, people still coming, we have businesses coming into this country. The biggest advantage that we have is the numbers, so we are over 200 million people and we are very youthful, about 60% of the Nigerian population. But so I just wonder and say that, companies coming to this country, let's say at least one company brings in about 10 billion naira, right? And then they employ about 2,000 people. If you divide that number, you have about 5 million naira for each person. All right, I hope my math is correct. Yeah. So if you say 5 million naira for each person, right? The question is that, does any Nigerian, is it possible for at least the average working class Nigerian at least to have 5 million naira in their lifetime? Or in, let's say, in 5 years of working? I think it's possible. So can we leverage on that and say, okay, if a company brings in 10 billion naira into the country and employs 2,000 people, all right, it's because they see opportunity in this country, all right, and they're able to make money. So if I have 5 billion naira, if you divide that, then I should be like that company and see what they see and at least do something, right? So it's just a rough thought, right? But I still feel there are opportunities in this country. I've had conversations with my friends, some of my friends thinking businesses, little businesses here and there, you can make almost 70% profit from,
Wow.
So even though the currency is not really good, but at least you can still make profit. You can maximize sales at least, if not profit. So there's still a huge opportunity in this country, and people are still making money, from this country. So whether it is business or whether it's employment, the industries, particularly tech industry, is rising. So things are still a little bit promising, right? But in the moment, do they offer the best? No. But I think things are still a little bit promising. So if you want to leave the country because for your personal reasons, anybody could do that, but if you think, but I still think anyways that there's an opportunity.
Okay, so I think I want to go back to that speech because that was a really powerful speech.
Okay.
Now, one thing remarkable about that speech is the fact that your mom actually taught you the importance of education. You mentioned that, and that was like a major support system for you. Now, do you think that in achieving one's dream, or do we need a support system?
I think we do. okay, this is very personal, you know. But I mean, I lost my dad when I was 6, and so my mother she was just very strong for us. Well, I think many mothers are like that, you know. So I wouldn't say that I'm a peculiar case, but I can still speak for my own case, anyways. But I saw her literally sacrifice her life for her 3 kids, and seeing that happen day in day out, somebody sacrifice their lives and to make it ground, their food, give you food and not eat, not buy clothes so you could go to university and all of that. Like, if you are at least sensible, you would there will be some impact of that in your life. So it touched me and my siblings in a way. So it just gave me a sense of purpose that you have to you know, and I appreciated her more for that. And my siblings, I think we were very, very close. So to your question, I think it's very good to have a support system. I mean, when I was giving that speech on May 1st, 2018, my sister was there in the audience, my brother was there, was at home watching, waiting for hours till I was called to speak. So I mean, to today we meet at least every 2 weeks. Everybody's living their separate ways, places to just hang out. We meet every 2 weeks to hang out. So I think it's really important.
Oh, you guys meet every 2 weeks? Wow.
We do. You know, just hang out, maybe at my brother's place or my sister's place.
Wow.
But we try to just, and I know the feeling of going there and seeing my niece, my 2 nieces, and giving them a hug. It's the.
I saw the way you danced on one of your sister's wedding.
Interesting. You know,
You were so happy.
Yes,
like,
I was.
My sister is getting married.
I was. You know, so.
Was it your sister or your brother?
My brother actually. Because I danced at my sister's wedding, so my brother actually. I think that picture was my brother. So yeah, it's just a good feeling. Right? So I think everybody should, and some of us do not, maybe because of life circumstances, but even if it's just friends around you, everybody needs a support system.
Like, it doesn't have to be family.
Yeah.
Because we have orphans. I mean, people that are just by themselves.
Yeah.
But then you have to somehow find that one person.
Yeah.
We can't live life alone. We need people.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's go into it. I think we've been very serious and everything. So you can sing. You sing very well.
Oh my.
You're a beautiful singer. I think I saw some of your clips on Instagram.
Anyway.
And you sing in real life. So tell me, did you ever think of going into music full time, or was HR your thing? Has it always been your thing?
I have never, I've never really been comfortable. I'm not sure that's a word, but I've never seen myself really as a professional singer, sort of. Maybe I'm not ambitious enough in that direction. I don't know, and I think I need to think about it. But for HR, I think this is how HR happened. Growing up, I was in my local church. We had people. Another good thing about it is that we had people that were inspirational. So we had figures, people that would mentor you and all of that. And one of them was an HR person. So the person just represented the ideal to me. So just when I can't forget, I went to buy a HR textbook at CIPM office in Ikeja, 7,000 naira.
Wow.
I saved money for that book. Right? I was still a teenager. So I was no longer a teenager. I was in university, but I didn't know my left from my right in that sense. I got the book, I never read it past the introduction because it didn't make any sense to me. But I kept following that, and I think that figure, mentors are really, really powerful. Just it was the ideal for me. So I would say that I just found myself in it by virtue of mentorship and stumbling, So I'm here. Yeah, and I'm doing it. Interestingly, okay, the thing about it is that I prefer the numbers part of HR, which is what I focus on, compensation and benefits. So that's what I do.
Compensation and benefits.
Yeah. Payroll.
What do you do?
Okay.
Compensation and benefits.
So let me try to make it. What I do is, okay, I work with the company to, we're the ones that determine what we pay people, how we pay people. You know, so let's say for example, we want to employ you're so expensive to employ. So we're the ones that determine how we should pay, and what we should pay her. What are the metrics we should do consider when we're paying you, and also how does our pay philosophy align with the business overall objectives. So that's just a very brief part of what I do. And also I also do payroll, so we pay people salaries every month too. And we do budgeting, so yeah.
Please, can you share some basic steps I need to take if I want to go into HR? I mean, you have to buy textbook.
I won't recommend that one. It doesn't work.
Okay, can you share some just basic?
Okay.
Yeah.
What I would say is that first thing is just go and get HR experience above every other thing. Above CIPM. Yeah. First is to get into the flow. Get into it. Get HR experience. Maybe it's HR, even if it's HR assistant. Just enter into that space first. Then you can start saying you want to get a certification, maybe CIPM or HRCI, or there are many other ones today. So for me, get HR experience first, then get certifications, and then from there you're introduced to a larger network of HR people where you begin to get ideas on how to further that you further yourself in that profession.
Okay, I have one more question. I feel like you do a lot of things. I don't know how you do it. I mean, you have your job, your 9-to-5 job, you sing, and I think you do a lot of, you are into volunteering too. Number one, how do you even have the time?
So I think that's one of the benefits again of working from home and all. So I'm not. I'm
you
not.
work from home?
I do for the most for most of the time, Sha.
Okay.
I'm not encouraging. This is not people should do this, but so I work with a foundation that they tell me ahead, okay, that we are going to this particular school. Okay, the foundation, let me give a little bit of background. The foundation, we go to schools in Surulere. We are covering most of the schools, if not all of the secondary schools in Surulere, and just with equipping them with information and skills that could help them be better people in life. So there's a network of resource people that they bring, and luckily I'm one of them. So they tell me ahead, okay, this is where we are going. So I know this is where we are going, and I will have planned before then, done my work that I need to do, created some time, so like an hour, I just get into a car or whatever it is, and I go down there quickly, do what I need to do in like 30-45 minutes, and I'm back home, all the while still working in the car, and just so that's how I do that.
So what are the feedbacks you get?
The feedback I get, wow, that's a really, it's a lot of questions in one. The feedback from the students that I get, that I see, is that, because the interesting thing about it is that when I go to those schools, they mirror my own personal experience. So again, it's easier. It's to speak to them, and it's real. It's original. Even the nature. Most of those schools are public schools. So, and I went to a public school too growing up, and even the architecture of the school is similar to my school. So I could really relate with them, and when I'm speaking that in such a way that, like, hey guys, I used to be here where you are. I used to be like this. My school was like this. I see them during break time playing football. I used to play football like this. This is the same kind of setting we used to play football. My uniforms are always worn out like yours. I used to be like you. So when I'm able to communicate like that and say those things like that, and they catch it, like they see it, that oh, it is this guy. I tell them, I make it very graphic. I tell them stories like, see, we used to eat Ilala Sekpo. Ilala Sekpo was, I mean, I still eat some of it now, but I think it's a bit better now. But then it was terrible. There was no meat and all of that. I used to do, when I see Ilala Sekpo, I say, hey, they know it. I said,
Like this guy can really.
yeah. So I used to drink Gary a lot. And they know, so I could really. So the feedback I get is that they see that this guy is just he's just like us, or he was like us, and he is in this place. Things are, at least better for him a bit.
Yeah.
Then, if he can be like this, I should be able to, push further and be like this too.
Yeah.
So, and I get that feedback through the things they say when they come to me after speaking, and they tell me they want to get my number. It's difficult to actually catch up with all of them because they're sending messages on WhatsApp. Sometimes I call, I discuss with them and just give them further motivation, and then I get that feedback a lot from people, even from the look in their eyes and the conversations we have after the sessions. And also some of them to come and tell. So, I mean, they say very, very interesting things. So you can see that they have a long way to go. They begin to open up to you and say, I want to be this, I want to be that, but I have these things holding me down. So I get the feedback of that hunger, in them, in wanting to do more because they have seen something that has triggered some part of them, and they want to be like, I want to be like this person too. So, and for me, that's a measure of success, at least. Another thing again I want to mention is that sometimes, not even the words you say, in those times when people come to us, to schools, to talk to you, it's those figures that you see that stay with you for life. It may not even be the things you say. There's one guy that came to our school then, and that figure just stays with you for life.
Yes.
You know? So it may not even be the things the guy said. It's
Yes.
just a figure, and I think that's something in itself.
Wow, thank you for that. I think this is a very expository interview, basically, and I'm enjoying every bit of it.
Okay.
And I'm sure that for those people seeing this video, you must have learned one or two things from Mr. Biodun. Now let me go a little personal.
Okay.
So I'm a young lady in my 20s, and then
Young guy too.
yeah, I know you're a young guy too.
Make
I
you
don't
feel
know,
old.
maybe your 20s too, I don't know. But then, let's talk about pressure.
Okay.
Now, so we've been talking about adversity, all of these things. At some point in your life, do you ever feel like you are not hitting the mark? Like you are not where you are supposed to be? Do you feel like you can do better? Because I feel like that sometimes.
A lot of times. I mean, I feel like that quite a lot of times. But it's a very tricky feeling, And in fact, I started learning recently that it's a very tricky feeling. So, because, to be honest, like let me say this, that I grew up having, I think achievement for me was the win. So after you have gotten something, you're looking for the next thing. The next thing, the next thing, the next thing. And sometimes for me it's like it's because it comes from the place of the fear of being stuck, because you used to be stuck before. So you're afraid of going back to where you were, where you used to be. So that thing is pushing you to say, what's the next thing? What's the next thing? Because you're actually running from something. So, but I learned to just really own where you are. Just own it. Like, don't. And this is something that happened recently. So I feel that way, but I've actually learned to own it. That hey, you are moving. Okay, there are plenty of things in this. In this part of the world, it is possible for you to move up, and there are forces that will pull you down. Very possible. So there's a balance to it, that you keep trying to be better, to create a system around you, all right? But also that feeling of being afraid of being stuck that keeps pushing you forward is a very tricky one. So you have to be careful because life is complicated. You may
So you
get
don't
to
get consumed with.
and you may get to a point where that thing you are doing every time, I'm trying to get the next thing. The next thing will not come, and it becomes very difficult. You know, and then you're afraid, and then you know, I'm saying these things that happened to me actually. But I had to get to a point and say, hey, I'm fine. Like I'm doing well.
Yeah.
At least I'm okay. Not like I'm the best, but at least I'm okay. So, and I shouldn't be afraid of falling back. You know, so it's a reorientation that I had to do for myself. But it doesn't even stop the fact that everybody should endeavor to be better every day. You know, but it should not be a thing of I am living to be better. But I just want to be better because
it should not be a thing of I'm living to be better.
But I just want to be better because it is natural, right? Not that it is.
You are speaking to me. I just want to be better because it is natural.
Don't make me laugh.
No, right? No.
So I'm speaking to myself too. Because so it's I just want to be better because it's natural. As human beings, we should be better, not because it is a do or die thing, or because I'm afraid that I will fall back. You know, so yeah. I feel like that sometimes, but I'm worrying myself to think that, hey, you should move up because it's a natural thing to do. You should be better. You should go for the next thing. But with that kind of mindset, if you are stuck, or you start thinking you're not afraid that hey, I'm going down again. You know. So, yeah.
I think it's a place to be because you have this peace.
Yeah. It's
not because someone is doing better than you. Yeah. It's not because you are this social media pressure from people. It's because it's a natural thing to be better. That's what I'm like holding on to.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like the message is for me, and I'm sure that some other people will catch it. I would want you to, talk to young people out there. Just encourage them. In a way you can. I know that we all need encouragement, but then you don't know what someone is to hear.
They say they don't like aspire to acquire. I still think I like motivation, but maybe I don't know. Let me go into that. Well, this is what I would say. Every human endeavor, in my opinion, comes from within. It comes from, I was in secondary school last week, Thursday, yes. And I asked a question, and one of the kids said, I asked them, okay, what do you want out of life? One person said, I want a better life. I want a better life. The other person said, I want to be able to explore everything that I have in me. And I love that answer.
Yeah.
And I told her, and I said, see, when I was your age, I had a funny name. And in class, I was always afraid when they called my name because people would laugh at me, right? And that thing hurts my self-esteem. I'm going somewhere with this, and I felt very.
You mean Biodun?
No, I have another day. That day hurt my self-esteem. So, and I never knew that right in that class, I became a very, very introverted, shy person. But this guy had something in him that could make him speak at a big event, all right, before, thankfully,
the vice president. Guys, I'm going to play that video.
So
I'll play it.
My point is this: that let us focus on ourselves, on the internal person, on getting a reading. This is very broad, but what I mean is that find what makes you tick. Let's forget about all these things, social media, what's trending. No. Or whatever, the next business, no, it's not about that. Find what makes you tick as a person. Go on a journey of self-discovery. Like, I'll use examples to explain what I'm trying to say. I would stumble in trying to explain this. I remember then we used to go out a lot. I mean, I have a friend. We used to go to really, really amazing places where there are big people, or people that are powerful. We used to watch videos of great men, you know, and all of these things just started triggering something in us. I remember, you know, I would save money then to go to the island. I was living on the mainland. Go to the island to go and attend some symposiums, and then get people speak, and then your heart just catch fire, and then you trek back home, but your heart is still catching fire. And you forget the pain of trekking back home because your heart has caught fire already. So you pick up books, you read books. So all of that thing, you know, is like energy. So it's looking for things like that around you that it can find. So begin to look for books like that, people like that. All of that thing is we are building something on the inside. It is from that inside that the speech that I gave came out. So I know that it is for everything comes from the inside. So I would say that find what makes you tick. When you find an interest, go after it. Try to do risky things. You know, find a safe place to do risky things. All right, things that interest you, but they may be risky. Do them. Just do things that make your heart catch fire. All right, and by that, I'm not saying my bad things, but just do things that try to. There's something on the inside. All right, but so let's focus on that. When we begin to fan the flame on the inside, it begins to attract plenty other things. Then you see that it's the energy of that thing inside is attracting things to you. You see somebody in your neighborhood that is speaking something that resonates with what's inside of you. You get to know that person talks to you about the business. You know, everything begins to connect together. One thing I see about some of these amazing entrepreneurs is that in their circle of friends, maybe Steve Jobs or Mark Zuckerberg, they had people like them. And I remember Steve Jobs sometimes would go to Sony to go and see, and there he learns the architectural design. You know, all of that thing too inspired how he designed the Apple product. So my point is that the real thing is in us. This is very cliche, I know, but it's in us. But we must all embark on a journey of self-discovery, or may I say, finding and tracking things in the universe. I really don't know how to explain this, but just we must search. Interestingly, Steve Jobs said that stay hungry, stay foolish, you know. And I think it makes sense. It makes more sense now. That just let us be searching people. Let's be, what do they call these people? Let's be wanderers again. The early men were wanderers. They were wandering around looking for things on the floor, picking up stuff. Let's wander. Let's be wanderers again. Let's be people that are embark on journey. It is in there that we find these things. I'm sure Christopher Columbus was wandering. That's how he found America. So I think that what young people need to focus more on is quote unquote wandering and finding stuff that resonates with what's on the inside. When you find that stuff, you will know. And when it resonates with you, go after that fire.
So, and you can't find without searching.
You can't find without searching. So many things I've said that may not make sense, but just tie it up together.
They make sense. They make sense. So guys, we are going to end this video here today. Thank you for sticking around, and Mr. Biodun, thank you for coming. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. So guys, let's keep searching, let's keep finding, let's keep tracking. We'll hit the mark. See you guys next time. Bye.
Good afternoon, Your Excellency. I'm honored to stand before you today. Good afternoon, my pastor, Pastor Poju Oyemade. Thank you for this opportunity. Good afternoon, all the speakers in the house, my fathers and mothers. I'm glad to stand before you today. Good afternoon, YPP community. Thank you for giving me a chance. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Nigeria. I am a survivor. My father passed away 20 years ago, and my mother in the early 30s then was left with 3 toddlers, 2 boys, 1 girl. We survived. I was 6 then, but I remember a few things. I remember the confusion. I remember the smell of embalming fluids pervading the atmosphere of the house. I remember the hardship. I remember being sent home from school many times, then being recalled a few hours later because my headmaster could not bear my mother's tears and pleading. I remember constant darkness because NEPA bills were left unpaid. My mother had to prioritize, and she decided that electricity was not necessary for survival. Besides food, only education was necessity. We survived. And I remember 2004. My brother and sister had gotten admission to the university at the same time in 2004. And my mother, whose only education was the senior certification, decided to send our kids to the university with a meager income from a small shop. Wasn't this going too far? But she did. And up until that time, 2004, we had survived, merely survived, like every other Nigerian. Every Nigerian has a survival story. Everyone here. We are survivors. The same conditions you think will break us are the same ones that make us. We are made strong by adversity. Like plants sowed into concrete, we'll break through the concrete and we'll sprout. But I realize that sometimes survival can be the enemy of thriving, just as good is the enemy of great. And I think it's time for us to quit surviving and start thriving. Back to my story. With the help of God, my mother single-handedly sent all our kids to school, and today she has 3 university graduates, including a medical doctor. And I'll tell you how that happened. I don't have much time, but thresholds. Every human endeavor has thresholds. Thresholds are a point beyond which progress becomes too costly and seemingly impossible. At the gates of thresholds lies adversity. And we may pull back adversity, but when we embrace adversity and press further, we enter into a realm of endless possibilities. Our adversity and our threshold was secondary education, but we persisted further. And we are glad about that. To round this up, I challenge everyone today, especially the Nigerian students, that it's not enough to get a degree and just get a job and live a secure life. Persist further. Go further. Build a career until you become a global voice. I challenge every business owner that it's not enough to start a business to just get by. As good as that is, persist. And I challenge the government that it's not enough to provide social amenities. As good as that is, persist further. Build a system that works. Thank you.
All right, we may all be seated.